Hello everyone. Today, I'm back to continue sharing the story of the single mother, Lytucan. I hope you all enjoy the video. It was a beautiful morning. Gentle sunlight filtered through the leaves, and the soft breeze swayed the little flower pots in front of the porch. Tieu San woke up early and took little Ivy to school, just like every day. On the way, the cheerful chirping of birds mixed with the laughter of children, filling her heart with peace. After dropping Ivy off, Tieu San returned home. She sat on a wooden chair in the yard, unwrapped a small loaf of bread, her simple, familiar breakfast. When she finished eating, she stood up to feed the chickens, then watered the rows of green vegetables in her garden. The cool stream of water ran through her fingers, and she felt her heart grow light and calm. When her morning chores were done, Tieu San took out the half-finished wool scarf she had been knitting. Each stitch, each thread carried her affection, a gift she wanted to give Hải, the man who always warmed her heart. While she was lost in her knitting, Hải stopped by. He brought a bright smile and good news: the company had just signed a major contract. He spoke with excitement, hopeful that this project would mark a turning point in his career. Hearing that, Tieu San's eyes lit up with joy. She was genuinely happy for Hải, the man who never stopped striving forward. "I knew you could do it," she said softly, her warm smile enough to wash away all his weariness. Before leaving, Hải turned back to look at her, the gentle woman whose small hands continued knitting each careful loop of yarn. To him, Tieu San wasn't just someone special, she was a source of peace and good fortune in his life. And to Tieu San, every time Hải stopped by, her heart grew a little warmer, her faith in the future a little stronger. Night fell. The pale moonlight streamed through the window, illuminating the small room where Mai sat. It was so quiet that she could hear the ticking of the clock on the wall. On the table, her phone screen glowed, the name Ha, best friend showing clearly, yet her finger hesitated to press call. Her heart was a storm of guilt, regret, and sorrow. Old memories rushed back, the times she tried to get close to Hải, the schemes she had devised just to drive Tieu San away. Now, looking back, everything felt frighteningly empty. Finally, she took a deep breath and made the call. "Mai? Why are you calling this late?" Ha's voice came through the line. Mai was silent for a few seconds, then said softly, her voice trembling. "Ha, what we did before, it was wrong. Hải truly loves Tieu San, and she's never done anything to hurt anyone. I feel so guilty." The other end of the line fell silent, only the faint sound of wind passing through a window. Mai continued, as though confessing. "I thought that if Tieu San disappeared, Hải would come back to me. But no, the farther she went, the sadder he became. I've lost Ha." She hung up and placed the phone on the table. Her vision blurred with tears. But Mai didn't know, standing outside the door, her mother, Mrs. Lan, had heard everything. Mrs. Lan had been there for a while, her hands tightly clasped together, her face showing both shock and sorrow. When Mai turned around, her mother stepped in. "Mai, what did you just say?" Her voice trembled, heavy with worry. "You're not planning something foolish again, are you?" Mai froze. Her eyes widened in panic, then she looked down. I was just talking, Mom." But Mrs. Lan didn't believe her. She walked closer, holding her daughter's shoulders, her eyes filled with deep sadness. "I don't blame you for loving Hải," she said gently, "but love isn't something you can force. The more you cling to it, the more it hurts you. Do you know how terrified I was when I heard you talk about that plan?" Mai said nothing. Each word her mother spoke cut into her heart. Tears welled up as she whispered, "I just can't accept it, Mom. I've loved him for so long. I understand, Mrs. Lon said, pulling her into an embrace, her voice quivering. But some people simply aren't meant for us. The more you chase, the more pain you'll find. I just want you to let go, live peacefully, and find someone truly worthy of your love. Mai nodded, her tears soaking her mother's shoulder. I understand. I'll stop now. Yet her eyes still carried a shadow, something unresolved, something unfinished. That night, while Mai slept, Mrs. Lon remained awake in the living room. The lamp still burned. She couldn't stop worrying. Had her daughter truly given up? Or was there still a spark of jealousy smoldering deep inside her? At last, Mrs. Lon stood up, her expression firm. Tomorrow, I'll go find Hai, she said quietly. I need to talk to him, to end this illusion once and for all. What she didn't realize was that this seemingly right decision would be the beginning of something far more complicated, a turning point that could change everything. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow across the old tiled roof, and a soft breeze carried the faint scent of jasmine to the porch. Hai stepped through the gate, a bright smile still lingering on his lips. He had just completed an important project, one he had poured his heart into for months. Mrs. Thoa was trimming her orchids when she saw her son return. She looked up, smiling warmly. You're home early today, Hai. I can tell, there must be good news, right? Hai set his bag down and walked closer, his voice brimming with excitement. Yes, Mom. The company finally signed the big contract. Everything went even better than I expected. If all goes well, this will be a major step forward in my career. Hearing that, Mrs. Thoa's eyes sparkled with joy and pride. She took her son's hand, her voice filled with affection. That's wonderful, Hai. You've worked so hard. I know how much effort you've put in, seeing you achieve this makes me so relieved. Hai smiled gently. It's also thanks to you, Mom. There were times I wanted to give up, but I remembered your words, do it with sincerity, and heaven will help you. Those words kept me going. Mrs. Thoa nodded, her face glowing with pride. Then, with a softer tone and a hint of meaning, she shifted the topic. Tieu San stopped by the other day. Such a polite, kind girl. The more I talked to her, the more I liked her. She's genuine, thoughtful, gentle, yet strong. You should cherish her, my son. At her words, Hai's lips curved into a tender smile, his eyes softening. I know, Mom. She's been by my side through every hardship, when I failed, when I was tired. I'm lucky to have someone like her. Mrs. Thoa's heart swelled with quiet happiness. She recalled their meeting, Tieu San in her simple dress, carefully serving tea, her voice gentle, her eyes sincere. In that gaze, she saw a good heart, a woman who loved deeply and lived selflessly. That girl puts my heart at ease, Mrs. Thoa said softly. As long as you two are sincere, I believe you'll have a happy home. I don't wish for anything more, just that you have someone who loves you, someone waiting at home after long days. That's all I need. Hai held her hand gently, his voice low and warm. I promise, Mom. I'll do my best, in work and in love, so you'll never have to worry again. Mother and son sat together under the porch as the sunset bathed everything in golden light. The scent of freshly brewed tea mingled with the chirping of birds returning to their nests. In that moment, Mrs. Thoa smiled peacefully. She knew her son had truly grown, not just in his career, but in his heart, in the way he now understood love and happiness. And for her, that was enough. Elsewhere, the weight of the past. Lately, Trang had been living under a heavy cloud. After her brother's son received 200 million dong from Tu on her behalf, it seemed everything had been settled. But then, Tieu's wife began showing up at Trang's workplace, sneering, mocking. "You're clever, aren't you? Breaking up and still walking away with 200 million. That's enough to start your own shop, isn't it?" Her tone dripped with bitterness. Trang clenched her fists, swallowing the anger rising inside her. She knew if it weren't for her brother accepting the money, she would have returned it, to end all ties once and for all. But now, she could do nothing but endure. After days of silent suffering, Trang made her choice. That day, she looked straight into the woman's eyes and said calmly, firmly, "I don't want any connection with Tieu anymore. The money issue was settled by my brother. Please, stop coming here. I just want peace." Is that too much to ask? With that, she turned away. Tears welled up, but her heart felt lighter. She knew, sometimes pain was the only way to be free. That same afternoon, Tone, the man who had quietly cared for her all this time, came to see her. He had heard what happened, every cruel word, and his eyes were filled with compassion. "Trang, don't let people like that hurt you. It's all in the past. Let me take care of things. I already told my mother about us." Trang's eyes widened in disbelief. "You, really?" Tone nodded, though a flicker of unease crossed his face. He hadn't told her the full truth, that the baby she was carrying wasn't his, but the result of her ill-fated relationship with Tieu. He was afraid that if he told her now, everything would collapse. "Tomorrow," he continued, masking his anxiety, "I'll take you to meet my family. My mother wants to see you. Don't worry, I'll be with you." Trang nodded slowly, torn between joy and fear. She didn't know whether to be happy at being accepted, or terrified that her secret would soon come to light. "All right. I'll get ready," she whispered. The next day, Tone took her shopping for new clothes. He wanted her to look bright and confident when meeting his family. For the first time in months, Trang smiled, a small, genuine smile. But just as they were leaving the boutique, a regular customer rushed into her beauty salon. "Trang, I'm leaving town tonight. Could you please take me right now? I came hundreds of kilometers just to see you." Trang froze. She glanced at the clock. The meeting with Tone's family was only hours away. Her heart raced. Refuse, and she'd disappoint a loyal customer. Accept, and she might upset Tone. But Tone understood. He gently took her hand and said calmly, "It's okay, Trang. Take care of your client. I'll call my mother and move the meeting to another day. Your work matters, I get it." Trang looked up at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. "You always think of me first," she murmured. Tone smiled faintly, his eyes deep and gentle. "I just want you to be at peace. I'll handle the rest." Trang turned back to work, trying to focus, but inside, a storm brewed. She knew she was loved by a good man, yet the shadow of her past still lingered, and one day, the truth about her baby would no longer stay hidden. Meanwhile, Tone stood silently under the trees outside the salon. The golden sunlight fell across his shoulders, heavy and slow. He knew that if he truly wanted to be with Trang, sooner or later, he would have to tell her everything. The sky was gray that afternoon, heavy with an unspoken omen. Tiểu San sat on the porch, stitching the unfinished scarf she was making for Hải, when a soft knock echoed from the gate. She looked up, and her heart froze. Standing outside was Mrs. Thursday, her foster mother, the woman Tiểu San had spent years trying to forget. She looked older now, yet her sharp eyes and shrill, calculating voice were exactly the same. "San, do you still remember me? I've been looking for you everywhere. My, how you've changed." Tieu San stood still, her hands trembling slightly. Memories came flooding back, the endless scolding, the exhausting chores, the day she was forced to marry son just so her foster mother could collect a dowry. She had sworn never to see that woman again. "Why are you here?" Tieu San asked slowly, her voice cold. Mrs. Thursday stepped inside, her eyes scanning the modest home until they landed on a framed photo of Tieu San and Hai on the wooden shelf. A smile flickered across her lips, but her gaze carried calculation, not warmth. "You're doing well, aren't you? I heard you have a successful boyfriend now. Life must be quite different for you these days." "I work for what I have. No one gives me anything," Tieu San replied evenly. Mrs. Thursday sighed, lowering her voice with feigned regret. "I know I made mistakes in the past, San. But I was poor then, I had no choice. I only wanted you to have a stable life, that's why I forced you to marry son. How could I have known he'd turn out so cruel?" Tieu San gave a bitter laugh. "Don't say that. When I was beaten and abandoned, where were you? When I begged you to let me go, did you listen? You didn't do it for me, you did it for money." The air grew heavy. Mrs. Thursday lowered her gaze, but her eyes glimmered coldly. "All right, maybe I was wrong. But now that you're doing well, I just want to see you happy. If you ever need anything, I don't need anything from you," Tieu San cut her off, her tone firm. "Just don't come back. I found peace, please don't destroy it." Just then, Hai returned home. Surprised to see a stranger inside, he greeted politely. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Hai." Mrs. Thursday gave him a quick, appraising glance from head to toe before smiling sweetly. "Ah, so you're Hai. I heard you're a company director. San is truly lucky, with a man like you, her life will never be hard again." Hai smiled politely but said nothing. Even without knowing the story, he sensed the insincerity in her words. Her gaze lingered not on Tieu San, but on the luxury watch around his wrist. After a few pleasantries, Mrs. Thursday rose to leave. "San, come visit me sometime, okay? I live alone now, it's lonely." When the gate closed behind her, Tieu San remained motionless, exhaustion written on her face. Hai approached and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Are you all right? Who was that woman?" She shook her head, eyes glistening. "My foster mother, the one who treated me like a bargaining chip for a bride price. I thought I'd never have to see her again." Hai said nothing, only took her hand softly. "Don't be afraid. You have me now. No one can hurt you like that again." That night, after Hai had fallen asleep, Tieu San lay awake. In her dreams, she saw the old house, the one where Mrs. Thursday had forced her to sign the marriage papers. She heard the laughter, the shouting, the sound of coins scattering across the floor. She jolted awake, her forehead damp with sweat, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. "If only she hadn't chosen money over me, maybe I wouldn't hurt this much." Outside, rain began to fall. The sound of it mingled with her quiet sobs, the sound of a young woman still haunted by the greed and cruelty of the one who once called herself mother. And deep inside, Tieu San couldn't shake the feeling that Mrs. Thursday's return was only the beginning of something worse. That night, comfort amid the rain. After Mrs. Thursday left, Tieu San sat quietly on the porch. The soft yellow light fell across her face, revealing the sorrow in her eyes. Her thoughts swirled, of the past, of old wounds that never fully healed, and of a fear that her fragile happiness might once again be broken. Hai came out of the bathroom, drying his hair, and saw her sitting there, small, still, lost in thought. He walked over and rested a hand on her shoulder. "San, you're thinking too much again, aren't you? Startled, she looked up. Her voice trembled. I'm just scared. What if she comes back and ruins everything? I've tried to forget, but the past keeps chasing me. Hi. He sat beside her, gently holding her frail hands in his. His eyes were calm, his tone deep and steady. Listen to me, San. Everyone has a past, pain they'd rather forget. But it can't hurt you anymore. Not now. Because you have me. Whatever happens, I'll be here. You'll never face it alone. She was silent, his words slowly melting the cold inside her chest. When she turned to look at him, his gaze was sincere, unwavering, and for the first time in a long while, she felt safe. Hi, thank you. As long as you're here, I'm not afraid anymore. A soft smile appeared through her tears. Hai reached out, wiping a drop from the corner of her eye. I don't ever want to see you cry again. Let me handle everything. You just need to live happily, that's all I ask. Tieu San nodded, leaning gently against his shoulder, listening to his heartbeat, steady and warm. And in that moment, she knew, after all the pain, she had finally found someone she could trust, someone she could lean on. From that day on, their lives slowly returned to peace. Every morning, just as sunlight streamed through the window, Hai would stop by before work, always with the same warmth. You up yet? Breakfast's ready, I brought it for you, he'd call from outside the gate, holding a bag with a hot baguette and a steaming cup of soy milk. Tieu San opened the door, smiling softly. You don't have to do this every day. It's too much trouble. I'm used to it, Hai said with a grin. If I see you smile before I go, it gives me energy for the whole day. Each morning was short, yet precious, a small ritual that filled Tieu San's heart with quiet joy. After he left, she would stand by the porch, watching until his silhouette disappeared at the end of the road. Inside her grew a silent faith, in love, in peace, in the future. Then she'd make tea, tidy the table, and begin her daily work. The scent of essential oils drifted through the air, the sound of her needle tapping against fabric echoed softly. Sunlight fell gently on her hair, the picture of calm simplicity. And though the old wounds hadn't completely faded, each sunrise felt like a new beginning. Because now she knew, no matter what storms might come, there was someone who would always stand by her side.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới vui vẻ. Hiện tại video của mình đang kể về câu chuyện người mẹ đơn thân lý Tiểu San. Sự xuất hiện đột ngột của người mẹ nuôi khiến Tiểu San ngỡ ngàng, cô liên tục gặp ác mộng và không biết rằng người mẹ này sẽ mang đến điều gì cho Tiểu San. Mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo nha. Để không bỏ lỡ video nào thì mọi người nhớ like, share, bật chuông thông báo để nhận thông báo khi mình đăng video mới nhất. Cảm ơn mọi người đã ủng hộ những video của mình. Rất mong được sự đồng hành của mọi người trong những video sắp tới để mình có động lực làm nhiều video hơn. Và mình hy vọng mọi người sẽ để lại cho mình những nhận xét ở dưới phần bình luận để mình cải thiện những video sau. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở video lần sau nha.